The mind is the coin. A coin has two sides, yet it remains one coin. One side is heads, the other side is tails. In the same way, the mind holds two inseparable functions, thought and thinking. This is the 7-Minute Daily Focus, day 66 of 365. Today's focus, the law of the mind. You remain within one governing structure, the law of the mind. For 14 days, I do not change subject. You deepen focus. You deepen understanding. Effect stands in front. Origin stands behind. The mind stands between. This is the order of the law of the mind. Today you examine a central function of the mind, its role as the seat of thought and thinking. The mind is the seat of thought and thinking. To understand this relationship, consider a clear illustration you can remember. The mind is the coin. A coin has two sides, yet it remains one coin. One side is heads, the other side is tails. In the same way, the mind holds two inseparable functions, thought and thinking. Thought is the seed that appears within the mind. This is the tails side of the coin, the side where ideas, dreams, vision, and direction first appear. Thinking is the ordering activity of the mind. This is the heads side of the coin, the side that examines, sequences, and stabilizes what thought contains. Both sides belong to the same coin. Without the coin, there are no sides. Without the mind, there is neither thought nor thinking. Thought introduces the seed, the first appearance of ideas, dreams, direction, and vision within the mind. Thinking prepares the seed, examining it, ordering it, and arranging it so it can move toward physical expression. The mind holds both sides together as one metaphysical field. Remember the illustration. The mind is the coin, thought is one side, thinking is the other. When both sides function in order, the seed of thought can be properly prepared by thinking and translated into metaphysical structure, which then becomes its physical expression. The mind is metaphysical in nature. It proceeds from origin and participates in first cause. Because it is metaphysical, it is capable of receiving what is recognized through the first sense before anything becomes physically visible. Within this metaphysical field, thought appears as seed. Thinking then sequences what the seed contains. Thought is not empty. Thought carries ideas, dreams, direction, and value in seed form. What later appears as physical structure begins as thought within the mind. Thinking then becomes the processor of the seed. Thinking examines, arranges, stabilizes, and sequences what thought contains so that translation can occur without distortion. Because the mind is the seat of both thought and thinking, it becomes the interior ground in which metaphysical reality begins its movement toward physical expression. Ideas arise here, dreams arise here, vision forms here. Before anything stands physically in front, it first stands within the mind as metaphysical recognition. Pause for a moment. Observe your thinking. Notice where your attention rests. Notice what thoughts you allow to remain within the mind. What the mind repeatedly entertains begins to organize into metaphysical pattern. What it organizes begins to stabilize into structure. What predominantly stabilizes begins to translate from the unseen into visible expression. If the mind allows thought to remain divided, translation becomes unstable. If thinking becomes confused by reaction to appearance, the seed becomes distorted. But when the mind remains aligned with what is recognized through the first sense, thought becomes clear and thinking becomes metaphysically ordered. In this metaphysical order, the mind performs its proper function. Thought is received as seed. Thinking sequences the seed. Metaphysical structure begins to form. The metaphysical ordered pattern that will later appear as physical structure. What stands behind begins its movement toward what will later stand in front. The relationship between the mind, thought, and thinking must be clearly understood if the sequence of metaphysical order is to remain stable. The mind is not merely a container of passing impressions, it is the metaphysical ground in which the seed of thought is received, held, examined, and prepared for expression. When thought first appears, it does not yet possess structure. It is potential in seed form. It carries ideas, vision, direction, and purpose, but it still requires ordering. This is where thinking performs its essential function. Thinking does not create the seed. The seed has already appeared as thought. Thinking instead turns toward the seed and begins its work of examination. It considers what the seed contains. It arranges its meaning. It sequences its direction. In this way, thinking prepares the seed so that what is recognized behind may gradually take form. If this process is hurried, the seed becomes disordered. If thinking is distracted by appearance or by reaction to the reports of the five senses, the seed may be distorted before it has been properly stabilized. But when thinking remains steady and attentive to what has been recognized through the first sense, the seed retains its integrity. The mind then preserves the correct sequence between metaphysical recognition and physical expression. Consider how every visible structure in the physical world follows this same order. A building first exists as idea before it exists as architecture. A discovery first exists as insight before it becomes invention. A work of art first exists as vision before it appears as form. The physical structure is therefore never the beginning. It is the continuation of what was first held within the mind. This understanding restores clarity to the function of the mind. The mind is not reacting to reality. It is participating in the preparation of reality. Thought introduces the seed. Thinking arranges the seed. Metaphysical structure begins to stabilize. Only after this sequence has occurred does physical expression appear in front. For this reason, attention must be guarded carefully. What you allow to remain within the mind gradually becomes the material from which structure forms. Repeated thoughts strengthen pattern. Pattern stabilizes direction. Direction begins to organize structure. Over time, the structure that was first metaphysical becomes visible as physical result. When this sequence is respected, confusion diminishes, reaction loses authority. The mind no longer treats appearance as origin. Instead, it recognizes appearance as confirmation. What is seen is understood as the later stage of a process that began within the unseen activity of the mind. In this way, the mind fulfills its responsibility within the order of reality. It receives the seed of thought. It applies the ordering activity of thinking. It preserves the metaphysical pattern that prepares the way for visible structure. The unseen is therefore not distant or abstract. It is the present ground from which what will appear is being prepared. Remember the order. Effect stands in front, origin stands behind, the mind stands between. The mind receives the seed of thought. Thinking prepares that seed for expression. In this way, the unseen becomes the seen, and metaphysical order becomes physical expression. Affirmation for day 66. My mind is the seat of thought and thinking. Thought is the seed within my mind. Thinking sequences the seed for expression. I remain aligned with origin. I translate from the unseen into the seen by order, by the law of the mind.